a full colonel, retired chaplain, Christian Reformed Church chaplain in the Army, right? And anyway, Howard Veneklassen is a Holland businessman who went on a cruise to Alaska, and he cut to Ketchikan, and he was really taken by a film they produced for tourists. And he came home and said, we got to have something like that for Holland, Michigan. So he formed the Holland Film Group, got Rob to be the Moondog Production, to be the filmmaker, and a former editor of the Holland Sentinel, Ben Baberslice, is writing the script, and Tom Van Howell, who was a TV announcer on Wood TV in Grand Rapids, is reading the script. And we're interspersing about 30 interviews of people, plus hundreds and hundreds of photos. So we've created 2 trailers, 5-minute trailers, to show you a little bit of what the goal is and what it's going to look like. So why don't we run the first one, and then we can talk about it or follow up with the second one. Title is Wilderness, Wilderness, the World-Class City.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Van Howell. As a member of the New Holland Film Group, I'm here to tell you about an exciting new project where we'll be peeling back the layers of time to tell you the story of an incredible place, this place, from wilderness to world-class city, Holland, Michigan. Why do some cities thrive while so many others hit a wall? Is it a work ethic, an entrepreneurial spirit, a quest for innovation? Among small cities, Holland is one of the jewels of the Great Lakes, a leading success story of the Midwest. So what was the mix of ingredients that made Holland grow and flourish? What formula was and still is at work? And how did immigrants and entrepreneurs together make Holland happen, back at the beginning and in the waves of newcomers since then? Those are some of the questions our documentary intends to answer. To do that, Howard Veneklassen, a retired Holland businessman, formed the Holland Film Group, a bunch of award-winning filmmakers, writers, and educators, and historians, whose collective vision is to make a documentary film about what happens when you combine immigrants and entrepreneurs, religion, and resilience.
That was a Holland fire of 1971 sketch.
Well, my involvement over the years with the business community and have watched it grow, it really has several facets to it. One is that it's so well diversified. The government is strong. We have education. We have a diversified industry. And we have people that have vision and put it to work.
The earliest immigrants fled poverty and religious persecution to arrive in a cold, snowy place, so very foreign in so many ways. They struggled through harsh winters, miserable summers, disease, and a fire that claimed almost all of what they had built. The temptation to throw up their hands and surrender had to have been strong so many times. What kept them going? And what attracted Americans to join their efforts? What brought later waves of immigrants, Hispanic and Asian in particular? How did they add to the community framework built so many years before? And then, what inspired generations of modern entrepreneurs to grow here and give back?
I think the town is just trustworthy. It's a church-related, obviously, as is well known, and I think that carries over.
Those early colonists could never have envisioned what Holland has become. A multicultural city of craft, of industry, known around the world. A city known far and wide as both lovely to visit and a great place to live.
We had the vision. We had all the players together from the different segments, from the college to the city industry working together to make it a better place to live.
Could all of this be an accident? Howard believes there is something special in the fabric of this place, something that permeates the soul of the people, something foundational to the structure of the community. The mission of the Holland Film Group is to make film about a special place, about why the city came to be, and to understand how we, as the stewards of a great legacy, can pass on whatever it is to those who are next in line.
Around 1990, Holland was predicted to die because a mall went in at the edge of town, West Shore Mall. But instead of dying, the downtown of Holland flourished and the mall died. They had to demolish it the last few years after it went bankrupt. Penny's moved out there, Sears moved out there, Kmart went outside of town, Walmart went out. The other three are gone, only Walmart survives. But the Holland 8th Street is thriving. You saw some of the pictures of it there. So we do have a story to tell. I know since Holland was named All-American City, I think in 1996, it's been recognized as one of the best places to live in America. It's the best downtown in America in 2016. America in Bloom said it was the best city in America, under 50,000 population, for flowers, because of course the Tulip Time Festival in May brings about 1 million people to Holland. So it's really quite an amazing city. It started out Dutch. By 1880, about 1/3 of the population was non-Dutch. By today, the Hispanics outnumber Dutch in the city of Holland. And if you add the Asians, there's probably about 35% Hispanic, about 10% Asian. Those were refugees from Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, which were welcomed by the churches as refugees. And African Americans make up about 5%. So in the public schools in Holland, they're minority majority. In other words, the so-called minorities make up about over half of the student body. So it's clear that Holland is moving towards a very diverse city. In fact, for the first time in 100 and some years, in 2008, the city voted Democratic for Obama. Up to that time, it was rock rib Republican. In 2012, it came back and did not vote for Obama the second time. And it voted for Trump the last time. But still, the Democratic Party is in play in the city of Holland, not in the township or county of Ottawa. That's still very Republican. But the city is changing. So, but anyway, the film is designed, I think, to give that history and the entrepreneurship, the religious background, and so on. And the second film clip that we have is of all of the 30 or 25 people so far that have been interviewed. Rob put together a 5-minute shot where each of the 25 is shown and a couple sentences from each of them. Now the film, of course, will have more from some of these people as it's integrated into the story. But 3 years ago, I published a 3-volume history of Holland. It's standing out here, 2,600 pages worth. And these guys are now taking a film in 55 minutes and boiling what I wrote in 2,600 pages into 55 minutes. And I think it's a great follow-up to the written history, is to have the visual. Our goal is to show this in the schools and have it at the Holland Museum, running continuously, so people who come in can just sit down in a special room and watch it. At Tulip Time, we'll run it in the Knickerbocker Theater on 8th Street for any tourists who want to sit and watch it. And businesses are want to use it for recruitment. When they hire and want to bring in executives in these companies, they can watch this film and say, this is what Holland is. Do you want to join us and be part of it? So people from Hayworth and other companies have said, you know, we're really hot about this because we can use it as a recruitment tool. So, you want to add anything, Howard?
Well, yes, I do.
Go ahead.
The first thing I want to say is that I'm overwhelmed by your energy, enthusiasm, and knowledge about our film. incredible. I don't have to come to these things anymore.
Oh.
We have you.
You're the guy with the vision.
Well, the things that I wanted to say is I'm a 7th generation Holland, Zeeland citizen.
His great-great-great had the largest brick company made in the Holland, Zeeland area.
We've been
Veneklassen Brick.
We've been in business in the Holland, Zeeland area for well over 100 years.
You can ride through the town and say, there's a Veneklassen brick house, there's a Veneklassen brick house.
Okay,
There have even been articles written about these houses because the architecture is so classic.
So once I saw the Ketchikan piece at the community center in Ketchikan, Alaska, I thought Holland doesn't have anything like that, and to inform people of what Holland is and why it got to be what it is, and particularly inform youth. My dream is that every junior or senior in all those high schools in the area get to see this before they graduate and realize that Holland, Michigan is not an accident. It's a mixture of, as Bob said, the threads of faith, the threads of entrepreneurialism, innovation, good, strong work ethics, philanthropy, and public-private collaborations. It's the magic mix. So I began to recruit folks last summer. We've been at this now for 10 months, and our script is
coming along
pretty well fleshed out, and we intend to go to edit this summer. The total cost is about $125,000, and we hope to show it at the grand opening world premiere in December of this year. I was very deliberate about who I chose to be on our team. The business card that I gave both of you, the backside lists everyone who's on the team. The community is embracing this effort because it is first of its kind. So that makes us even more energized. And what it is not sugar-coated about Holland is the greatest and best place anybody could ever hope to live. It is not a linear historical narrative, but it starts out with the history of Holland, and then it pursues the themes that I mentioned just a few minutes ago.
Which do we have listed at the moment?
When we went,
Oh, yeah.
when we decided, yeah, there they are, diversity. What is the diversity one?
Which is really, as our interviews have been progressing, diversity seems to be one of the bigger topics.
In the last 30 years,
Yeah.
the city has diversified.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it was not entirely Dutch, but it was still white, or Anglo-Dutch.
So are you running this?
Whenever you hit a topic that I know is there, I put that
I
one
think the
up.
theme for me is the culture is what makes Holland, it's the culture. And of course, the culture are the values that people came then, who settled the place. And they were all refugees, basically, from the state church of the Netherlands. They broke with them and were persecuted, like pilgrims were, and Puritans. So they came to America for religious liberty, but also for economic advancement. And they put that sort of religious stamp on the community, and it's still evident. Even though it's become very diverse, you still have that the culture that makes the place work.
And it just,
They've absorbed, the people who are the majority were able to absorb the minorities and integrate them into the community. Yeah, we had our gangs, gang fights and so on, especially between Hispanics and Asian gangs in the 70s and 80s and 90s, but you know, the churches got involved and the security forces got involved, and I think they've been able to manage much better than Grand Rapids, which is being torn apart by other cities.
We've had other challenges. Like our lake is Lake Makatawa, and Lake Makatawa has been throughout the years polluted.
They called it Lake Makatoilet for a while.
We have public-private collaborations that work on cleaning that up.
There's a Macatawa Waterways that's really working to work with the farmers upriver and and it's much better than it was. I mean, Heinz Pickle plant is on the lake. They used to dump their pickles they didn't can right into the water, you know, and there were all kinds of affluent that went into the water. And now the treatment plant they keep upgrading, so you get secondary and tertiary treatment of the water before it goes back into the lake. Unfortunately, Grand Rapids had to dump raw sewage into the Grand River, which flowed into Lake Michigan every time it rained heavy. But finally, Grand Rapids is starting to separate their rainwater that comes off the roof into the sewers from wastewater. So that's getting better
I
too.
want to talk a little bit about our interviews, but before I do that, my goal, our goal, is to inform and inspire and educate a broad audience, particularly, as I mentioned before, students, but it may land on somebody's desk in another state, and it may be a tool for a template of how a city can be run and what it takes to be a success.
Was the Holland City Fire at the same time the Chicago Fire was?
Yeah, same weekend, but not related.
No, some people think that the conflagration was so huge in Chicago that the fire jumped over the lake 90 miles.
It was a very dry summer, and the farmers burned off their stubble after they harvested their corn and their beans. They would burn off the stubble. And they started doing this, and the winds kicked up on a Saturday around Saugatuck, and it came right up to Holland by Sunday and just burned almost the entire city. It was 24 years old at that point, and everything was destroyed. One church was saved, no, two churches were saved, and Hope College's Vinralty Hall, the original building, was saved.
And only one Bible, right? And only one Bible.
Well, one Bible was saved, it was burned. People were able, only one life was lost because a lady went back into her house to try to save something. Otherwise, they went into the water, Lake Macatawa, to get away from it. And so people survived. That same weekend in Peshtigo, Wisconsin, they had a fire where 300 people died, who burned to death. So there were fires all around the Great Lakes on that weekend, October 8 and 9 of 1871. So, and Holland, the whole 8th Street was destroyed, almost all the homes were destroyed, all the factories. It was a total disaster, $1 million loss in 1871 dollars.
Returning to the methodology with our interviews, as Bob said, we've done 25 so far. We have 2 or 3 more that we're going to shoot. We created, first we created the threads that we mentioned earlier, and then we created a matrix and satisfied the thread support by who we wanted to interview for the movie. We've shot those 25 now, and some people, I know that you're not from Holland, but some of the folks that are featured are people that would be expected to have been interviewed, but there's many that have been interviewed that people that I know don't know. There's some extremely compelling stories in our community, people that moved there from elsewhere. Well,
From the everyday
Show
man.
us that.
You want to see it? Yeah.
This would give you a little bit of a sense of where the documentary is going.
People in Holland have all been working to find what is good for everybody rather than fighting over everything.
I have lived here since the age of 2, and I've watched Holland grow. And I think our strength is the diversity that we embrace here in Holland.
Having
get the opportunity to travel to many different parts of the world, I relish the idea of coming home and seeing the variety of people that is increasingly present in our community.
It's our community as a whole. I mean, that's what makes our community beautiful, the diversity.
It never really occurred to me that I was treated any differently because of the color of my skin or because of my ethnic background.
The most significant factor that makes Holland really unique for me is its Christian faith and heritage.
I think the defining characteristic of Holland, Michigan is the deep faith of the people.
Religion is big, philanthropy is big, and I think that's what makes Holland a very welcoming place, and it makes it a great place to live, to raise a family, to retire.
I think it's strong on a spiritual basis, which leads to people wanting to develop their gifts and talents to the best of their ability.
The most significant characteristic of Holland, in my mind, is probably the strong work ethic that comes along with the community.
The most defining characteristic of Holland is, in my experience, has been the generosity of the people that are here.
What defines Holland for me is the fact that we could move in from out of town and people just accepted who we were.
It was clear to me at a very young age that one of the key tenets or values of this community is philanthropy, or giving back. This community has always, and I think always will, care about giving back and supporting its fellow community members.
We have snow melt, by the way. Those streets never have ice in the winter.
Is that right?
4 miles. Those streets are all snow melted.
Hi everybody, I'm Tom Van Howe. As a member of the Holland Film Group, I'm here to invite you to join us as we begin peeling back the layers of time to bring you the rich, inspirational, and extraordinary story of Holland, Michigan.
Just think about it. On a New Year's Eve 170 years ago, a 35-year-old Dutch preacher and 8 other colonists, all of them still fresh off the boat from the Netherlands, arrived by ox cart on this wooded and swampy shore in search of a new home.
The early settlers had a vision to religious freedom. And as they came into this area and worked their way up from Allegan to Holland, they found things pretty tough.
The winter conditions were unlike anything they had ever seen before, but under all that snow and ice was soil. Soil for farming, soil for living, and an infinite supply of water. The Reverend Albertus Federaldi put out a call to farmers who came in droves, more than 4,000 in 2 years, to start clearing the land and building new homes.
It was really a special people. They had the tenacity and the determination.
Today, Holland stands as a thriving, multicultural, world-class city. And how that happened is a story worth telling.
I think what makes Holland so special is that we are known for so many things.
Well, there's no doubt that Holland is special because of the people.
The people are really close-knit, graduate from high school, stay in the same area.
Well, obviously, it's Dutch culture and many of the values that the original settlers brought here.
One thing I was really impressed with was the creativity of the business community.
The people in this area have a very, very strong work ethic.
Well, Holland is a great place to certainly be in business.
I just love the people of Holland. They are an amazing resource. They are so innovative.
Well, and it's just a great place to be. It's all about placemaking and having a place where people can come together as families.
I think we're a very giving community. It's because we have a history of people coming here, settling. We have a rich history of faith in the community and wanting to help your neighbor.
Holland is kind of built on this entrepreneurial kind of philosophy that people are willing to go out and work really, really hard to make a difference and impact the community they live in. So they work to not only benefit themselves,
themselves, but they also work to be able to get back to the community. And I think that in itself is what makes Holland so special.
Holland, Michigan, from wilderness to world-class city, coming soon.
Do either of you have any questions?
Do you interview any young people, any students?
Are you interviewing any young people? How about that?
At this moment, no. We had talked about that, and just kind of the way the process has gone so far, it has not happened. Now, can I say that it won't happen? I cannot, but as of right now, we don't have plans of that.
It's a good idea.
They're the future.
Yes.
I just locked that in. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you for increasing my budget. Much appreciated.
The trick would be to find someone that has something intelligent to say, that maybe, we'd be surprised.
Well, with the technology and someone who knows how to push buttons, I can make sentences out of one word at a time.
Right.
It's not the way to do it, but it can be done. So
the youngest person was Howard Gorhouse, the head of the Community Foundation. He's probably still in his 20s.
Yeah. He's 30.
And he's 30? Yeah. He's a product of Holland Christian Schools.
But really, if I can get a coherent sentence and a couple of them, typically I can turn it into a coherent statement.
Did either of you two have any questions about the films themselves or any comments?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I would think other cities would be interested in seeing your product as maybe a template for them to consider as well. How are you getting the funding for this whole project? Are different industries pitching in?
We've done some personal calls to the stalwarts of the community, if you will, one-on-ones. We've had a kickoff party, invited 200 people, and they all showed up. We're at the front end now of creating the awareness for the film. There may be other events. Certainly will be advertisements in local publications, and also up and down Main Street. We have posters that have been made that go on storefronts and things like that. There may even be a direct mail piece. The idea is to create enough awareness that whether it's $25 or $25,000, we get critical mass of people that are at the end of the production to thank. Which will demonstrate to other people that we have
how far are we at? We've got about 75,000 maybe?
We have 100,000.
100,000. So we're almost there. We've gotten money from the city of Holland. Was it 10,000?
15.
15. One of the banks gave us 15.
Yeah. But that's just for the production.
Right.
We also need to build a mini theater at the museum because during their open hours.
Yeah, the Holland Museum could get something. There's been a lot of smaller amounts.
And they will continue to come.
Right.
Those little things will happen.
Right. Anything maybe from 1,000 down.
Any of the overage that we get, if there is any overage on this project, is going to be escrowed in an account at the Holland Museum for youth program.
Yeah. So Holland Museum will get what's left and use it for youth program.
Yes, sir.
Have you considered maybe entering at any film festivals or anything like that to maybe gain publicity?
We haven't thought that far ahead. The farthest ahead we have considered this is we've met with public radio, public TV here at
WGVU will certainly run it.
And they're very interested in seeing the final product. There's going to be two lengths. One would be the PBS size
56:46.
Yeah. And then the other one will be somewhere between 25 and 30, which would be the one that would be for civic groups for the rotator at the museum.
Yeah, it would just run continuously.
Some groups may want to show it and don't have time for complete hours, so they're going to get a shorter version.
Do you have any suggestions?
What do you do between the interviews? I mean, do you have a lot of minutes first, or?
My process typically is this. I was handed a list with contacts, 25, well, really more than that. 25 are the ones that all worked out at that time. And what I'll try to do is I'll start with this date. First guy gives me a date, he can do it. Next person I talk to, I say, hey, I'm working on this date, can you fit in there? Say, no, but I can the next day. Now they're scheduled the next day. Next person I get a hold of, I try to build on top of that schedule, because it takes about 3 hours to do the interview. It takes us an hour to get in, set up, talk to the person, make them comfortable, get them ready for the process. And then typically the whole process will last anywhere from 20 minutes to 30 minutes. We'll put about 15 to 20 minutes of tape down of them interviewing, asking anywhere from 5, 10, 15 questions, depending on how long the answers are and am I getting what I'm looking for. Because I go into every interview knowing there's some specific things I need to talk to, and then I'll kind of branch off from there and catch some other stuff with follow-ups. But yeah, I try to build them in a cycle. Really, when it started, we started our interview process middle of January, I think. I finished up the process there, I think, about the end of March. A lot of them were done in blocks, where I would do a couple days here, a couple, 3 days a week, and then kind of the last few of them are the stragglers. I just make a schedule with them, and then I go try to figure out something else to do with my crew, because the way freelance crews work, we don't work on an hourly basis. I do, because I'm the producer of the project, so I'm willing to take a couple hours on a day. But if I hire them and we only work for a couple hours, I pay them for 5, or I pay them for 10. And speaking of that, right now I came here, my crew is down there shooting without me, so I could come up and talk to you guys. So, and then now that I did that, I've got all these interviews and see that they're all shot. Now I'm making my second round to these people, going back into them, going and get them in their place of work, showing what they do, the things that they talked about in the interview that we're going to use. I'm trying to cover that. They call it B-roll. And I guess to give you the analogy of what B-roll is, say you watch a newscast. Your newscaster is here, he's giving the story. And then they'll cut to the fire, or what they're talking about. The stuff they put on top of that story is the B-roll. You know, I guess A-roll, the primary roll is the first one, is the story, but then the B-roll is the covering, which adds the interest, which adds the sparkle to what you're doing. So now that I'm in that process, like yesterday, I shot 2 different B-rolls of 2 different of our interviewers at their places. Today I did one this morning, and then they're doing one this afternoon. And then I told the guys, I said, I'm not going to be there. Let's make a full day out of it. When they get done with our second person, they're going to go around the town with this big jib arm. There's a big arm on the camera. And they're going to go around getting town flavor and some stuff of that. And maybe when I get back, I'm going to go back and work for a couple hours with them. Maybe we'll go catch a sunset or something like that. But it's really, we want to catch the beautiful things. We obviously have a set shots that we need to get, but then we also go out and just get miscellaneous shots because we're going to use them. Sure. And I guess to really kind of put I've got a whole outline set for you, but I think we're kind of off script at this point. But to really put this in a nutshell for you, we're doing 25 interviews. Let's say each interview is 15 to 20 minutes. Let's average that at 17. 15 interviews, that's 425 minutes. We're doing a documentary at 56 minutes. What goes? And then, of course, now there's 10, 15 minutes of narration on there. So that's even less of those people. So I have 25 people that are each getting maybe a minute of their time. Some of them shorter, some of them a little longer. But that is one of the biggest and the hardest things to do is, when I'm all said and done, I'll have enough material probably to make 3 of them. But that's what makes stuff that good, because you only use the best of the best.
You don't want to have all talking heads.
That's right. We eliminate the talking heads, because that's, I mean, as you've seen just in this, they would come on for 5 seconds and get their first part of their statement, and then we'd go to a shot that is somewhat describing what they're talking. Sometimes the shot describes it to a T. Sometimes we are a little more liberal with it just because we needed that shot to throw in.
We had one guy there, Con Marcus, who's got like over 100 patents. He's the guy who developed the lighted sun visor that's in your car.
So you can look at the mirror with lights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got to get a mirror, one of these mirrors with a foot down with a light on, and put Con in front of it and say, yeah, he invented that in 1970.
I've got him scheduled next week to go to his place and do that, yep.
Make sure you get one in downtown that shows you don't have any parking meter.
That's a good point.
I'd like to share one anecdote about his experience with the interviews. The simplest answer to the question, why is Holland such a success, is people. That's always the answer. Doesn't matter whether it's Holland or any place else in the world. It's all about people. I sat in on one of the interviews that you just saw, and this happened to be in Holland District Court. We tried to set the interviewees in situ, where they live, where they work,
where they play.
And I sat in the back, stayed quiet, and just watched the show. And this young woman asked the question, will it be okay for me to mention names? And Rob said, what did you have in mind? She said, well, as you know, I am the daughter of migrant workers. We went from Holland, Michigan area to Texas, and from Texas back to Holland every year. And I went to Holland High School. There were 2 teachers there. She named the names that took special interest in me. They saw something in me that I did not see in myself. And they stayed with me. She said, this was in the time before the internet. And they supplied her somehow with her lessons and stayed in contact with her through the telephone on their own time, on their own dime, until she returned to Holland. She said, I owe so much to this. She subsequently went to the University of Michigan Law School, graduated with a law degree, and now she's the assistant prosecuting attorney for the county of Ottawa. Pretty good story.
That's amazing, yeah.
She has a great way about her too.
I think the fact that you got old people's homes so close to downtown is a real draw.
It is.
I mean, it tells the story of real architectural concern for the people in relationship to what's available.
And one of those facilities is right on 8th Street, which is our main street.
Yeah.
So people walk out, they are right downtown.
Got anything on vets?
Not yet, but I did not forget them.
You should, because I think vets are looking for a place to go.
There's only one city in the United States that ties Holland for the number of Congressional Medal of Honor recipients. Otherwise, we hold a record.
There's 4, right?
There's 5.
5, that's right, 5 now.
Pueblo, I think it's Pueblo or Puebla. Puebla, Colorado, they have 5 as well. There's only 2 towns in the whole United States that have that.
The Navajo code talkers out of part?
No code talkers. No code talkers in Holland.
I think the vets are really looking for places that understand what they're doing. And they're more than just showing them the VA or VA hospital.
Yeah, I agree.
Are you thinking of archiving the full interviews?
Yes.
Sure. Good.
Yeah. The discussion there is that a lot of our work will be turned over to the museum when we're through, not just the unit itself.
We'll probably house with the Joint Archives of Holland too, and stuff too.
When I wrote my history, I interviewed about 30 people, but we did it just oral, not video, and audio, and then we transcribed it, and we had the person then read what was said and approve it, or we changed it, and then all those interviews are in the archives as well. And there have been many others over the years that have been done, like that, typed up. This will be even better because you see the people.
You got a lot of stuff there that really would attract veterans, because the young vets are not looking at older veterans organizations because all they do is drink beer and play poker. And these young kids think that poker is Catholic, amen. So you got some good water and a lot of recreational stuff.
Have you been to Holland, Michigan?
I have, last year, just before this conference, we went. I have some relatives
Way back.
that
Sure.
came from that area.
What was the name of that family? Do you remember?
There were some Vandersluises and Vandermoors.
Okay.
So you saw some scenes here that were familiar to you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think it's great.
So do we. I think that when we did our original recruiting, bless their heart, all my team, within 24 hours, accepted the invitation. Some with trepidation, but not anymore. Everybody's a believer. Yes, sir.
Now, the people who are working on, like, as part of the team to produce this video, are they all, like, Holland natives as well? Or are they all supporting the cause because it's sentimental to them?
One guy's from Grand Rapids, Baver Slice, grew up in Grand Rapids.
West Michigan.
Rob is from South Haven.
West Michigan.
I grew up in the Chicago area.
Don Ward.
So they're
is
not
from
all,
out-of-state.
Holland born.
The majority are from West Michigan.
Or they lived
There's
there
a
long
few
enough
that moved in.
My wife and I travel to Holland to shop because we can park on that main drag without paying.
Free.
And we love to watch the snow melt on the sidewalk.
The one-way system, and it takes a little getting used to, but really once you do it, it is actually fairly efficient when you get used to
There's
it.
about 40,000. The city itself has 40,000 population. The area is probably about 100,000 if you include the townships around. That's where most of the people who used to live in Holland, moved out to the townships around, which is why the city has changed. Sort of upward mobility.
I think that resurgence that you talked about with, people downtown doing well even though they put these other things in, I think that's a great story. Because I think that's happening in a lot of places.
Right.
I see more and more malls closing than opening.
The key early
There's
on.
almost no vacancies on 8th Street. Those businesses are going very well.
Yeah, the key early on for our community was the Dutch people came here and settled what they call the colony with a K. Americans that had already been here recognized the Dutch for their hard work ethic.
And they paid their bills.
Yeah, their handshake
shopkeeper,
was
you
their
could
bond. You could count on them. So these folks decided to set up their businesses in Holland, Michigan. That brought people that wanted jobs. That's what started the whole thing, and it's still going on today. Same thing.
The one lady, Elsa Prince Brookhuizen, was interviewed just for a minute. She and her husband, who's now deceased, put up $1 million around 1990 of their money to redevelop 8th Street. And they start buying one building after another and restoring it to its original beauty. They got original plans, restored it, and they've done, I think, 90 buildings or 80 buildings now. And after they restore it, they would sell the building to just the right tenant. They said we got patient capital. They might wait 2-3 years to find the right tenant. And they're still doing it. So one building after another has been renewed to its original beauty. So you go in some of these buildings that were a butcher shop, you still see the tin ceiling. And the brick wall has still been restored.
That's one of the key elements. To
And she's selected even the paint that goes in the building. I mean, this lady is involved not just with restoring the building, but she's interested in the last detail of restoring that building. And they just do one after another. It's called Lumiere Corporation, L-U-M-I-R, is the name of the company that basically buys these buildings and restores them.
That's one of the beauties of Holland. It's had so many entrepreneurs come in that have been willing to put up their money to make somebody else's area better. And it's what other communities have. This one had Grand Rapids has a great community for that also with Van Andels and DeVosses. And some of that money is also in Holland.
Yeah.
But Holland, for the size of it, has a very large number of people that are really willing to put their own money into making this a better community. And that's pretty much unheard of.
The community foundation, I think, is up to about 90 million, I think now. And they gave out 9 million, not this year alone, in money that goes to local societies and clubs and groups that need money.
Like us.
We got some. We got what, 10,000 from the community foundation. So,
as well as them being our community partner, and
right.
we kind of broker our business through them as the 501c3.
So keep track of us on the web.
Yeah.
The world premiere will be in December.
At the Knickerbocker Theater.
In Holland, Michigan.
Will you
Any other
eventually
questions?
be putting any of this on a website?
Oh, yeah.
If you go to, I think Howard gave you one of those cards.
Yeah.
Holland Film Group will have the second one we showed you on around. We just took the old preview off and put that one on. My guess is maybe at some point, maybe it'll find its way to another page, the old preview, but for now, that one we did, the second one we showed you is on the home page. And if you guys want to, if you want us to fill out a little more time for you, I do have an outline about filmmaking and the historical significance if you guys kind of want to go through it a little bit and talk about it. We've only got 2 people here, so that's kind of up to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm certainly more than willing to do it because I spent the time to bring it to you, but it's up to you guys.
I suggest we just stop at this point, unless you guys have any other questions.
It's like having a long sermon for one person.
That's right. Hey, and I'm okay with that because I usually have that long sermon by myself, so I'm used to it. I'm the only one who will listen to me most of the time, so.
How long did it take you to do the research for the 3-volume set on?
I worked on this 10 years.
10 years, okay.
But I wrote a couple other books during that time. This wasn't the only thing I worked on, but it was the primary.
And so I assume there are pictures in your books?
There's about 900 photographs.
Okay. And is that?
Some of them will come to me. How many did you give me?
He came to my house and he scanned. It took him like 3 hours.
I didn't scan them. All I was doing was taking them off his flash drive, and it took like 3 hours. Like 10,000 photos.
He probably got 2,000 or 3,000 photos.
Okay.
I only used 900.
I'm feeling more like it's 10,000.
Wow.
But
So
it
now
was.
But boy, that's helpful to have them all.
He could just grab the photo and it's all archival quality. That's why they were so dense. They took forever to transfer.
Well, and a little story about this guy here is he seems to remember anything that's ever happened in Holland. We're having a meeting one day and we're trying to figure out some things that happened in Holland that weren't so positive to work in. Because if everything is fluff, who's going to believe that? So some bad things didn't have to happen. We're talking about it one day. They're talking about a bank robbery. There was a shot fired and it went through the window, and the sheriff's office was at. Well, here, before you finished it, when we're sitting there talking about it, we knew the date, what it was, and Howard makes a joke kind of offhand. What time was it, Bob? He's like, 9:03. And we're like, oh, okay.
These were gangsters from Chicago, and the sheriffs chased them until they lost them somewhere around south of Allegheny. They got away. But they left their bullet holes. They had machine guns, and they left the bullet holes right in the building on A Street. Now it's the One Friend retirement home. It was the One Friend Tavern, which was the Holland Furnace Company's building for their salesmen. It's a 6-story building, but you could walk on the street. There's a little sign by it that says these bullet holes were caused by the bank robbery and such a date. The bank was right across the street.
But if you're ever looking for a good year or two of reading,
there you go. Our cops could not, they didn't have machine guns. They could not keep up with these
We
gangs.
got one on Chicago too. I have one for reading and the other one's a good door stuff.
Yeah, one for reading, one for napping.
Anything else?
Well, thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it very much. Like I say, keep track of us on the web.
Yeah.
You see anything out there and you want to send someone an email, feel free to do so.
Maybe Sioux Falls will have one like this.
Well, you never know.